Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Friday night, June 3rd live stream. We're already in June. President Biden is through 75% of the way through his first congressional session as president, and he has done almost nothing. Like, they would disagree. The Biden people would disagree. The Biden people would say, oh, no, look, we've canceled $24 billion in student loans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the pie chart for how many loans 24 billion is, let me put this in perspective. In a typical year, $100 billion in interest is added to the nation's student loan debt portfolio. So the fact that in the first, 18 months or something of his presidency, he's canceled 24 billion. He could do this forever, and the lending portfolio would still grow by about $88 billion a year, 85 or something billion dollars a year in interest alone, not counting new loan originations. So to say that we are underwhelmed by what Biden has done on the federal student loan program would be a great understatement. Biden has done, pardon my French, jack shit. He was saying things like, if you went to a public college or university, you earn less than $125,000 a year, I will eliminate, he said, Joe Biden, will eliminate your student loan debt. That's what he said. Those are his words, not mine. That's what he said. And people believed him and people voted for him. Now he's president. And what did we get? We didn't get a lot, ladies and gentlemen. But let me back up. First of all, if you're new to the group, welcome. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest and largest and in many ways, and the first, and in many ways, the only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. So tell everyone you know about us, guys. We're getting close. There's a lot of nonsense out there, and we need everybody with student loans. We need their help. Right now, the lay of the land is that we are looking at being tricked. We are looking at a fake loan cancellation gimmick. It might be up to $10,000, but it will be bureaucratized to death. It will be means tested, and you get $3,000, and you get $1,000, and you get nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing because you earn too much, like that. Even up to $50,000, it'll be the same thing, guys. It's a joke. It's a cruel joke, and you are the punchline. I can't speak for the other groups out there who seem to be cheerleading this, but it's nonsense. Up to could mean anything. And after bureaucratization, it will come to mean almost nothing for almost everyone. We've got to get the threat of bankruptcy returned to student loans in order for any meaningful student loan cancellation to actually happen. So we're fighting for two things, guys. Number one, this is truly the most important. We're fighting for S-2598. It's a bill in the Senate that will return bankruptcy protections to student loans. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, but the good news is few people, maybe even no one, actually will have to file when we get the right returned. Just having the threat of bankruptcy back on our side is what is needed to compel meaningful, widespread, actual student loan cancellation, or whatever you want, whether you need cancellation, whether you need some kind of a break on interest or some other middling negotiated settlement, or whatever you need. We will get none of those things until we get bankruptcy back. So we're fighting for bankruptcy, and obviously the lending system is now failed with a capital F. So we are fighting for loan cancellation total, not up to 50, not up to 10,000, none of that bullshit. Total federally owned student loan cancellation. The entire portfolio needs to be thrown in the bath and drowned in the tub. It's time to replace this failed lending system with something that actually works. So guys, this group right here, we've seen all the tricks and the traps. We know the right path forward. And I can't say that for the other groups out there, unfortunately. They seem to be perfectly happy to play into this trick. And it is a trick to foist a fake loan cancellation on the citizens, keep bankruptcy gone from the loans, and then the lending system rolls on. and pretends to be viable and ruins a lot of people's lives. That's the most important part. We don't want that, guys. We don't want that. The lending system is toast. We want the quick, clean death. And so we have to fight. So tell everyone you know with student loans about this group. We've got over 1 million people now, which is great. But guys, we could and should have 42 million people on this group. I kid you not. Before the pandemic, 80% of all borrowers were underwater on their loans, meaning, first of all, more than half weren't able to make payments at all. And a whole bunch were paying, like Vanjie, who may be with us tonight. She got some really good press today, Vanjie in California. But 80% of all borrowers were either not paying or they were paying like Vanjie was, and their loan balances were going up, not down, up. Like Vanjie, for example, she borrowed $26,000, right? But this was like 30 years ago, right? So $26,000. Flash forward 30, 35 years, however long it's been. Vanjie has repaid $92,000 on this $26,000 loan. Vanjie, they say, still owes $132,000. I didn't stutter. That's not a mistake. Borrowed 26, repaid 92, owes 132. It's ridiculous. This lending system is a monster. And we're here fighting it, and we are here slaying it here on this group. You know, we would not have viable bankruptcy legislation to fight for. This S-2598 wouldn't even be there, but for the efforts of the people on this group. We may very well not even be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for the people on this group. You know, we started the petition in March 2020 calling for the presidential executive order cancellation of all federally owned student loans. And almost nobody was even talking about that concept prior to that. But for the first media article I can find on that topic was in August 2019, where we were interviewed. We went toe-to-toe with a guy named Mark Kantrowitz. We said, yeah, the president can cancel loans by executive order. The government owns these loans. They can cancel the loans if they want to. There's no money is drawn from the Treasury. No congressional approval is needed. That's stupid. But yeah, kind of started here on this group, guys. I kid you not. It wasn't until our petition was just rocking and rolling and getting national press coverage all over the place when Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept, and we're glad they did, and called on then President Trump to cancel loans by executive order. So we're thrilled that leading politicians like Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept. We are very not thrilled with this up to $50,000 nonsense, this arbitrary cap that they put on that. That was a political trick, ladies and gentlemen. And now, lo and behold, everywhere you read the paper, it's like, oh, is Joe Biden going to cancel 10,000? Or is he going to go a little higher? Is he going to go all the way up to cancel up to 50,000? That's bullshit, guys. That whole conversation is fake. It's constructed. It's a Washington, D.C. creation. There was never a good reason for Elizabeth Warren to slap this arbitrary $50,000 upper limit on loan cancellation. That's stupid. The lending system is a catastrophic failure. And the best thing to do, honestly, is to suspend the lending program. Suspend it. And by suspend, I mean, wink, wink, end. But suspend it and use that time and put the colleges on, I'd say, reduced direct funding for a year or two, and use that time to replace this failed lending scam. And it is a scam, guys. There's no other loan in this country that doesn't have bankruptcy protections. There's no other loan in this country that's been stripped of statutes of limitations. Very few other loans in the country that have been either stripped completely or greatly restricted on truth in lending laws, fair debt collection practices, state usury laws. I mean, come on. This is the worst. This is the worst, most unconstitutional lending scam in the history of our country. You know, John Adams once famously said, there are two ways to conquer and enslave a country. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. Well, that second thing is what is happening to us right now. The founding fathers weren't stupid. They called for uniform bankruptcy laws. Uniform bankruptcy laws in the Constitution. Like not the Bill of Rights, the body of the Constitution itself, Article 1, Section 8. If you look at the list of enumerated congressional powers on that list, you see things like the power to declare war, the power to raise an army, the power to build a post office. Above all of those powers that I just mentioned is the call for uniform bankruptcy laws. So the founding fathers knew something, and the people, including Joe Biden as a junior senator in 1976, but the people in Congress from 1976 to 2005, they did some very dangerous and unwise and unconstitutional things by stripping the right of bankruptcy uniquely from student loans. So guys, we're fighting for bankruptcy, we're fighting for loan cancellation, but we're not going to see the latter until we get the former, which is why S2598 is so freaking important. And I'll probably say bankruptcy like 10 more times tonight. And look, guys, I know nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. That's not the point. As I said, very few people will even have to file. It's just getting the threat, the leverage of bankruptcy returned to us as it exists for all other loans in this country. Only when that happens can we expect anything real from Joe Biden. So, hey, if you have any questions or comments tonight, and you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, then by all means, throw them out. And if I can see them, I will respond to them happily. So tonight I want to share a bit of good news, guys. We are being set upon from all directions, including the left and the right, mostly the right, of opponents to student loan cancellation. Like every day for the past month, we've seen 2, 3, 4 articles written about why student loan cancellation will benefit the wealthy and why it will cause inflation and why the world will basically end if we cancel student loans. It's all nonsense, provable nonsense. But it's a very tough thing. It's a maelstrom. It's a cake. It is a cacophony of terrible, essentially lies that are being told against us by the student loan swamp. This is manufactured media, guys. It's not real. It's not organic. It's nothing like that. It's a complete Washington, D.C. machine that has decided to turn its white hot light against us. But I'm here to tell you guys, there's some great news in the shadow, hiding in the lining of that cloud or something. We're kicking ass. Like, as all the nonsense about student loan cancellation has taken on a life of its own, and we're glad that it is, by the way. Opposition to bankruptcy has gone away. It has evaporated into almost nothing now. Like, I cannot almost even find anyone who will still publicly argue that bankruptcy needs to remain gone from student loans. Think about that, guys. This group here has been around for 17 years. Some of the people, maybe even some watching us tonight, have been with this group for 16 or even some, maybe even 17 years. And they remember how for many years it was so hard because the opposition was like, oh, we don't want bankruptcy. Everybody's going to run out and file for bankruptcy. Yeah. It was like that. It was terrible. And all of that has gone away. So that is a huge amount of progress, ladies and gentlemen. You should be very happy about that. Couple of announcements, by the way. I'm thrilled to report that a surprisingly well-researched and well-written article came out today at something called The Balance. Tycoon Hyatt, I believe. Is that the right? He's got a really odd name. Daikon Hyatt wrote the article, did a bang-up job. And by the way, speaking of Vanjie, I'm thrilled that Daikon featured Vanjie, our own Vanjie. Hey, Vanjie, are you here with us tonight? I'm looking for your comments in a minute. Featured Vanjie with all those terrible numbers that I said earlier. Borrowed 26, paid 92, still owes $132,000. So good on Vanjie. I'm so glad about that. Earlier this week, in fact, I think, 2 days ago, was it a bunch of our members quite a few of our members, or at least one of our members, maybe more, Michael was featured top line in a top feature story in the New York Times in a piece that sort of blew a hole in the whole, speaking of lies, the whole lie that student loan borrowers are a bunch of young, entitled, elitist liberals, like that whole thing that everybody believes. That's bullshit. Michael's and they've got these hoity-toity jobs and they don't need loan forgiveness. That's complete bullshit. And Michael, just by being interviewed, he took a great photo, by the way. He put a face to the real faces of real student loan borrowers. Michael is a truck driver, by the way, as probably 40+%, probably 50% of student loan borrowers work with their hands and work a real physical job. And Michael's he's no 25-year-old, snowflake by any stretch. He's a freaking truck driver. I think he may even be like in his 50s or something, or certainly late 40s or mid 40s. I don't know how old he is, but he's not young. He's not 35 or younger, I don't think. So I'm just thrilled. And as I said, it wasn't the best piece in the world at the New York Times, but it wasn't terrible either. 5 of our members were featured, and our research was featured. Well, first of all, let me say some of our research findings were noted in today's article at The Balance. There's still a question that I'm going through with the reporter about that, by the way. But no, the point was many, many, many people are not paying on their student loans. And Mr. Hyatt was good enough to independently soul vet that information. And he finally trotted out that information that very few people were paying on their student loans before the pandemic. He said 41%. And technically that is true. But if you count, well, first of all, if you count students who are in school, it's way over 50%. If you count people who are making $0 payments, it skyrockets. I've been saying it's 64.3% were not paying when you include people that were making $0 payments. But so we were thrilled that at least that fact was trotted out. It was put out there by The Balance today. But The Guardian, as I said, featured 5 of our members and also put forth some of our research in a piece a couple Sundays ago. So, and also, by the way, we were featured on, I say this quite often because I'm proud of it, but we went into the Lion's Den live on Fox News with Dana Perino not last month. I guess it was April now, April 12th or something like that. Very good interview. It was tough, as you might imagine, because Republicans hate us right now, and it would seem. And Democrats aren't great either. And so, we're a nonpartisan group, guys. We could care less about D's or R's. We pretty much hate both parties at this point. It's kind of like a good cop, bad cop thing. But having said that, the Republicans are just fucking nasty. They really are. And so we went on Fox News in April, and also either in April or maybe late March, we went on something called News Nation, 2 very conservative news programs. And we answered all the tough questions. And we love that. We love going into the Lion's Den because conservatives should be on our side. And we have been polishing this sword for many years, ladies and gentlemen. We can go into any Lion's Den and we can tear the place apart because we are right, and conservatives truly should be on our side. So there's a lot of reasons to be very optimistic, guys. Like the bad guys, what they want you feeling discouraged, demoralized, walking around with your tail in between your legs, waiting, watching, and worrying, and reading Forbes magazine. Like that's what the bad guys want, or the National Review, or I don't know. USA Today is pretty crap too. Most of the media, like 85% of the media that we're seeing about student loans these days, it's seeded by the swamp, ladies and gentlemen. Like even that New York Times piece the other day, I'm not saying that was the swamp, it wasn't, but even the New York Times, they interview these just terrible, terrible people who have a vested interest for what reason, I don't know. People like Beth Akers and in the New York Times piece, this other terrible guy, Matt, I think it was Matt Chingos, right? Wasn't it? Yeah. Terrible swamp creatures who over the years have fought tooth and nail to keep the lending system going. I mean, these people, I don't know why the media keeps interviewing them. You know, they say, "Oh, she's a fellow at the Urban Institute. He's a scholar at the Brookings Institute." Like Adam Looney, who is really nothing more than a sycophant for the U.S. Treasury Department. But yeah, no, there's most of the media is bad, guys. And if you walk around reading all that nonsense, those people have no idea what's going to happen. They have no clue. They have no more of a clue than I do. And I have a pretty good clue of what's going on. And if I'm saying that people in Washington, D.C. have no clue, that's really saying something because they don't know what to do. Come on, look, think about your own self. Think about your own knowledge base inside your own head, right? Pandemic happened. They paused the payments. And that was a Republican president, by the way, used his executive authority to cancel interest. But they were going to restart. They were going to restart it, right? I think the first thing was like, okay, I think they paused it in March. They're like, oh no, but we're going to turn this sucker back on in like what, May or something, or June. Oh, and they extended that repayment. They extended that pause. Then they extended again. Then they extended again. Then they go, okay, this is the last time, but we're gonna extend it. But then last time. Then they extended it again. And then they extended it yet again. There's a good reason for that, ladies and gentlemen. This lending system is failed. Like I said, it's failed. It's a dead man walking. So take heart in that. And the people at Forbes magazine, those people are, pardon my French, douchebags. They've done the worst reporting in the world. They're not telling you what's going to happen. They're telling you what they want to happen. You know, they would like nothing more than for you to sit on your ass, read their crap, be discouraged, demoralized, watching, waiting, and worrying, as I say, and doing nothing. That's what they want. You know, there are even some student loan advocacy groups in the world who you would never know. You'd think, oh, student debt crisis. That seems like a legit group. They're not. They're a bunch of fakes, guys. They're Washington, D.C. insider fakes. And they are fighting very hard to play that trick on us that I said at the top of this broadcast, where they foist a fake loan cancellation on us and keep bankruptcy protections away. This student debt crisis is nasty, guys. They're nasty people. We've seen them in operation for over a decade now. We found very close ties between them and a Republican lobbying firm called the DCI Group back in, I think, 2012 or so. There's a long story behind that. I don't want to bore you with the details, but Google the DCI Group and see what kind of characters we have found in and around this group. They're not to be trusted, guys. And you know, I'm not going to even try to defend the other groups out there. I know that this group right here, we are for sure, for real, no bullshit. We live and breathe this stuff. We only tell the truth. We don't have secret little handshake Washington, D.C. deals with people. The only place that we make money, and we don't make much money at all, by the way, is from donations from distressed student loan borrowers. And if you've been with us for any length of time, you see that at the end of most months, I'm begging and pleading for hundreds of dollars so that we can pay our freaking rent or our utility bill. So believe you me, we are a very austere group. We don't have any hidden motivations, anything like that. We tell the truth. That's all we've ever done. That's all we ever will do. I want these loans gone. I'm a defaulted student loan borrower. I want these loans gone. And we are as true of a group, a truly grassroots group, if you will, that you will find anywhere in the world, in the known universe, if you want to solve the student loan problem. The talking heads, the fakes, the politicos, even the congressmen, even the media, They're not going to solve this problem for us, guys. That will never happen. That has never happened, ever. Not on the student loan problem, and probably not on any other problem anywhere else either. The media doesn't solve stuff. Talking heads don't solve stuff. It always starts with the people, and the people means me and you, or I should say you and me. And we are the engine that drives this thing, and we need your help. If you think you can sit back and relax, and I know a lot of the other groups like Student Loan Debt Crisis or Student Debt Crisis, whatever they call themselves, they want you sitting on their ass. So they're like, yeah, look what we're doing here. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Just keep sitting there. Yeah, we're going to do this. And look, we met with this person. Oh, look, we got a photo op with Elizabeth Warren. And oh, look, we're on Move On. Oh, look at this. Those people are full of shit. Those people want you sitting on your ass. Don't give them the pleasure. They're part of the problem. They're part of the student loan scam. And quite frankly, I don't know how they sleep at night. Whatever. Like I said, let them defend themselves. But anyways, we're on the right path, guys. You need to stick with us and tell all your friends about us. Because the only way this problem is going to get solved, and you won't hear this from any other groups, is that we get the threat of bankruptcy return first as a practical political matter. That is absolutely true. You know, if Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren was in the president's seat, maybe it would be different. And I give that a 50-50 qualified maybe, because Elizabeth Warren's kind of fake, guys. She is playing a trick on us. And, you know, I love Bernie. I marched shoulder when I lived in Iowa. I worked, volunteered for, got to know Bernie. I've talked to him many times. I've marched literally shoulder to shoulder with him. I like Bernie. But even Bernie is a professional politician, guys. Like, even going back, and I hate to talk bad about Bernie. I think he's a good man. But even Bernie has done some pretty shisty deals as congressman, then senator from Vermont with the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation. You never heard Bernie come out and say explicitly that he would cancel student loans by executive order. You never heard him say that, did you? No, you didn't. You never heard Bernie Sanders call for the return of bankruptcy protection to student loans. You never heard that. So I'm just saying, guys, we're all we've got. We people, you and me. And there's a very well-resourced opposition against us. But, you know, when we actually put our back into this fight, when even 20%, 1 in 5 of the people on our group actually start doing our daily actions, for example, we're going to win this battle within a fortnight. We are so strong. You have no idea how strong we are. You know, on any given day, maybe a couple thousand people in this group, 1.3 million people, 2-3. On any given night, on any given day, maybe a few thousand people are doing stuff. Now, just think if even 100, like even 10% of our group, 100,000 people, just think if every day 100,000 people were doing 5 minutes worth of work a day, we would overwhelm the Twitter accounts of every elected official. We would overwhelm the Twitter accounts of every influencer, every media outlet. We could shut down the phone banks of every single congressional House and Senate office in Washington, D.C. if even 10% of the people on this group were doing our daily actions. And by the way, if you forget everything I say tonight, go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and right at the top, you'll see daily action. Go there. And if you've never done one of our daily actions, do a week or a month's worth of our daily actions. Take some time. It's fun, by the way. It's mostly Twitter stuff. You got to have a Twitter account. Get a Twitter account. I don't care if you hate Twitter. I hate Twitter too. Get a Twitter account. It helps. So do that. Another thing that I would say, if you are new to the group, and by the way, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian or a Green or a Socialist or a Communist or a Fascist or a Nazi or whatever, you're very welcome on this group. We do not differentiate. No matter what your political stripes are, we're all in this together. We do ask that you keep every other issue out of this group. We don't talk about guns here. We don't talk about guns, God, gays, abortion, gun rights, flag burning, immigration, healthcare. We don't talk about any of those issues on this group, guys. We only talk about student loans. So as long as you can live by that one rule, everything is beautiful on this group. And we're glad you're here, no matter what your political stripes may be. But having said that, help us with our daily actions. Do I have to say it a third time? I probably already said it 3 times. We need you helping, guys. You can't sit back and be like, yeah, Vanjie, you go, girl. And hey, could you get me a piece of pizza while you're up? No. That shit does not wash on our group. You've got to help us fight. This is a battle easily won, but only when everybody shows up. We're close, guys. We've never been closer. I'm telling you, we are close, not only to getting bankruptcy back, but maybe even getting this entire lending system canceled. Everybody in Washington, D.C. knows what I know. And what I know is that this lending system is toast. It's finished. There is no saving it. There's no good reason to save it. And if you're new, there's one thing that you can do that you will get a huge amount of benefit out of, and that is go to, gosh darn it, I just turned it off. Go to our Medium platform. We publish research articles there all the time, and many, at least half of those headlines, those articles, are breaking news, like news that nobody knows, never been reported, but is very important. We can't count on the mainstream media anymore to break important stories. Like this thing today at The Balance, the thing at The Guardian, that's pretty rare. But some of these headlines will astonish you. But my point is, if you read the last 6 or 7 articles that we've written, you out there will be a very fine and fit and fearless, hopefully fearless, definitely feared student loan justice warrior. And we need you in this fight, because if you haven't noticed, there are a lot of, I'm going to say, ignorant people out there who don't understand this problem. And all day long, they will walk around believing that everybody with student loans is a bunch of liberal snowflakes, that everybody walking around with student loans is a bunch of young people who are just whining, that, everything's hunky-dory and everybody that gets a student loan is doing perfectly fine, that canceling student loans will benefit the wealthy. They're walking around with all this wrong information in their head. And they're not going to change their minds until we force those scales to fall off of their eyes. So if you go to this thing and spend some time reading these, enjoy them. They're easy to read, by the way. They're just normal articles. But read them, inculcate them, understand them, and you can be a very fine, fit, and the opposite of feckless, like effective student loan justice warrior. And we need you in this fight. I'm sorry for lagging for so long on your comments, guys. I'm looking for your comments right now. Hey, Kara Rodriguez is with us tonight, I see. Hey, Kara. Let me just dial in the comments here. And if I miss your comment, I apologize in advance. Come on, enlarge. Let me just dial in the comments here. Shut up. And if I'm shut up. Okay. So Kara Rodriguez is with us tonight. Hey, Paula Schultz is with us. Hey, Paula from California. Hold on. I gotta get my mouse. Hold on a minute. I hate trying to scroll with the touchpad. Okay, I've got my mouse now. So let's get to the bottom of this here. Hey, 11 minutes, 6 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go your comments from the oldest to the newest. Paula Schultz says, when they dismiss the loans as in Corinthian, where does the money come from? How does the government actually pay? Does the government actually pay Corinthian, or does Corinthian just take a loss and claim it as in their taxes? That's a great question, Paula. So, you know what? I wasn't even going to mention this because it's such a non-story. Like $6 billion that President Biden's canceling Corinthian college loans. $6 billion the government makes in interest on this loan system in about 3 weeks. So it's just it's such a non-story. But to answer your question, Paula, when they canceled those Corinthian loans, They drew a line through a number in a ledger. Nobody had to be paid. Nobody had to pay to cancel those loans. Those loans were funded many years ago by the federal government, and the federal government didn't pay anywhere close to $6 billion for those loans, by the way. They were massively inflated with interest and penalties and fees and etc. My best guess is that at most the government may have paid $1 billion for that $6 billion portfolio, and they probably made a ton of that money back, most of it, maybe even all of it. They probably made back from the borrowers over the ensuing years. So no money has to be paid. No money even changes hands. No money needs to be drawn from the Treasury. No money needs to be added to the national debt. So that's the answer to your question. And by the way, what I just said about those Corinthian loans is exactly the situation for all direct federal loans. In other words, 87% of all student loan debt, the government paid for many years ago. They didn't pay even a fraction of whatever they say these loans are valued at today. And when the loans are canceled, not one penny needs to be drawn from the Treasury. Not one dime is added to the national debt. No money even changes hands. It is a line through a number in a ledger. Truly. Like, there is no easier, cheaper way to stimulate the economy. There just is not. So I'm glad that you asked that question, Paula. Paula says, so they get a break when the government discharges the loans. No, Corinthian got their money many years ago. When the loans were originally made, that's when Corinthian got their money. Now, I will say, S-2598, the bill that we're fighting for so very hard, it's a bankruptcy bill. There is language in this bankruptcy bill that you should know about, and Republicans should be thrilled to see it, that requires the colleges to reimburse the federal government up to half of the value of the original amount borrowed. So in the case of Corinthian, probably maybe $1 billion was originally lent on those loans. So Corinthian would be on the, if these loans were discharged in bankruptcy, assuming that our bill passed, then if they were written off in bankruptcy, then Corinthian would be on the hook to reimburse the government of up to $500 million. So S-2598 is a great bill, and conservatives, Republicans everywhere should be fighting very hard for it. Republicans say they're against the colleges. We're against the colleges. We hate the colleges. We have no love for the colleges. The colleges have been sitting in the catbird seat. The colleges have been lying to their students. The colleges have been committing egregious and heinous and grossly, I would say even criminal omissions against their students. I hate the colleges. The colleges need to be held accountable. Frankly, the more vicious part of me thinks that we should just end this entire lending program and cut all the colleges off clean and see where the chips fall. Part of me wants to say that. Now, I'm no idiot. We probably need to fund higher education in this country. But so I hope that answers your question. Paula also says, I'm confused about where does the money come from and where does it go? Paula, and I think I already answered this, but the money is fiat. The money is created out of thin air in the form of accrued interest slapped onto the value of the loan sitting in a federal government ledger somewhere. All the money that was going to change hands happened when the loan was originally made. So that $6 billion, whatever they say in Corinthian loans, when that loan was originally made, it was far less than that. It was $1 billion between 10 and 20 years ago. Many loans, 500,000 people. The money that was paid out for those loans was paid out many years ago by the federal government. And the federal government got back a bunch of that money in the ensuing years. Did they get back $1 billion? I don't know. I think they probably did. Now, are they not going to make that $6 billion? No, they're not going to make that $6 billion. But whether they cancel the loans or not, they were never going to make that $6 billion because those people said, fuck you, I'm not paying. And by the way, everything I say tonight about Corinthian, it is scalable to the whole entire lending program. The lending system is dead, guys. The lending system is a dead man walking. It may have a book value of $1.6 trillion. That's true. Do you know how much money, how much of that $1.6 trillion the government was ever going to get back? A tiny, tiny fraction of it. It's fake. It's fiat. Even before the pandemic, more than half of everyone was not paying on their loans. Today, almost nobody's paying on their loans. And whenever they try and turn this lending program back on, a tiny percentage of people will ever resume paying on their loans. And that will go down. That will drop precipitously in the ensuing months after they try and turn the lending program back on. The lending program is dead, guys. People are not going to pay. It's dead. When less than 20% of the borrowers in a lending program are paying at all, is that not a dead lending program? It's a dead lending program. It's a dead lending program. Kill it, Biden. Do the right thing. Take this monster to the bath and drown it in the tub. That's the right thing to do. And by the way, that's the conservative thing to do. So every Republican out there within the sound of my voice should be saying, what is this liberal pansy on Facebook pretending to be a conservative? What's this garbage coming out of his mouth? Send this to them. Conservatives should be on our side. So I'm not sure about your comment about the benefit from a loss in taxes. Well, the federal government was never going to get much of this money back in the first place. And with all the people, when they cancel the loans, with all the people that are finally going to be able to come out from under the shadows, living in an underground economy, not filing nor paying taxes, yeah, the federal government's going to see a windfall of revenue from people who have come back from being off the grid. That's true. I'm not sure if that was your point, but that's a point worth making. Hey, Evelyn's with us tonight. Hey, Evelyn. Evelyn says, I wonder where the professors and staff salary come from. Yeah, well, where do you think they come from? Like, the for-profit colleges are the worst. 90% of their revenue comes from the federal student loan program. But the nonprofit colleges are not much better at all. Yeah, you know, some of the colleges have some colleges get people to actually pay, and some people get NSF grants, and some people get other, you know, other sorts of research funding in the door. But the federal student loan program is the cash cow that funds much, if not most, if not the vast majority of a college's expenditures. You know, some of the higher colleges have huge endowments and stuff like that. The colleges have been done fantastically, extraordinarily well over the past 30 years, guys. Make no mistake. On the back of this predatory, unconstitutional, hyperinflationary, un-American, and now, thankfully, catastrophically failed lending scam. Don't forget that. Paula Schultz says, there is a talking head that does loans. I can't think of his name. Dave Ramsey is one talking head that I'm aware of. He's a talking, thick-skulled fathead who talks out of the side of his neck, and who, by the way, is a charlatan because he sells student loans. Go to Splash Financial, and you will see the stamp of Dave Ramsey's approval on Splash Financial private consolidation loans. So on one hand, Dave's saying, you're an idiot. On the second side of his neck, he goes, don't cancel student loans. That's un-American. And on the third side of his neck, he goes, hey, buy my loans. Dave Ramsey is a piece of shit. Don't pardon my French. He ought to be ashamed of himself. And the people who were duped by him into taking their loans out of the federal program and into the private loan universe through Splash Financial, looking like Dave's advice wasn't quite as good as you thought it would be, isn't it? Dave Ramsey is a charlatan. And by the way, he fights against bankruptcy and loan cancellation. He himself filed bankruptcy at least once in the course of his career. I've heard multiple times. Haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet. Dave Ramsey is a piece of shit. Mike Rowe is a piece of shit too. Mike Rowe and Dave Ramsey are friends. They do podcasts together, by the way. Mike Rowe would have us believe that everybody with student loans are a bunch of liberal snowflake pansies. That's bullshit. People with student loans do some of the dirtiest jobs imaginable, like Mike Cheney, who's in the New York Times a couple days ago. Our own Mike Cheney, truck driver. Yeah, Mike Rowe is a fake, and he is purposely sowing the seeds of discord, trying to separate working people from college-educated people. But the problem with that is that they're the same people often. Shame on Mike Rowe. By the way, Mike Rowe's never done a hard day of job. He's probably never done a real dirty job his whole life. I seriously doubt. He's got a college degree, by the way, a communications degree from some college in California, last I heard. Hey, Doug Grossman's with us tonight. Hey, Doug, in Indiana. Alan, you need to talk more about the other groups that we think are the good guy groups, especially the ones that our group members are liking or retweeting for. Doug, I try not to talk about the other groups very often because I let them do their own things. But I'll give you the rundown. Most of the groups are bad. Debtcrisis.org is literally a corrupted group. The Debt Collective, like I said, I can't speak for them. I like the Debt Collective in that they are fighting for total loan cancellation, but I have very serious reservations about the Debt Collective as well, in that they apparently absolutely will not fight for the return of bankruptcy student loans. That is suspicious. They also do these gimmicky debt buyback schemes whereby they take money and they pay to have legally uncollectible, illegitimate loans canceled. It's a gimmick. It makes no sense. These are private student loans where the statute of limitations is long since expired. And why is the Debt Collective giving money to the student loan collection industry? That is creepy to me. So those are the two main groups. We work with Debt Collective. As long as Debt Collective is fighting actually for student loan cancellation, I guess I have nothing bad to say about them. Glad they're doing it. We've actually wrote a joint letter with them at one point, but I'm telling you guys, there are no other groups but for the National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys that is fighting for the return of bankruptcy to student loans. And that is beyond that. That is very weird to me, because anybody who knows anything about the student loan program should know. They should have seen all the tricks that have been played on us over the years. In 2007, the bad guys went to great lengths to kill the push for bankruptcy in favor of these fake loan cancellation gimmicks, income-based repayment, public service loan forgiveness. So anybody that wants to call themselves a student advocate in this space, if they don't understand the fundamental importance of bankruptcy, then quite frankly, I don't think they should be in this space. It's obvious. But anyways, I let the other groups defend themselves. I wish you would ask them the hard questions, though. But yeah, student debt crisis, fake, run and hide. They're trying to sell you stuff. They're making money on you. They're using their groups as hunting grounds for vulnerable, distressed borrowers. They are sharks pretending to be minnows or something. They're terrible people. Terrible. I can't say anything bad like that about Debt Collective. There's a few other groups out there. There's like Young Invincibles. That's just another just fake Beltway creation. It's a Washington, D.C., just fake. If you want to throw some group names out, I can certainly tell you what I think about them. Guys, there's a true value in true grassroots groups, normal, honest people exchanging honest information. There is no substitute for that. No amount of Hollywood nonsense, no amount of Washington, D.C. veneer, no amount of, feature stories in the Atlantic or whatever. None of those things can substitute for the bare bones, blood and guts, not hard, but actual effort that goes in to getting shit done. It all starts with the people, with you and with me. And Doug knows that. And I'm not talking to Doug. I'm talking to everybody else. And by the way, if you're like Paula or Doug and everybody I've seen here on the group tonight, and you are doing the hard work, Evelyn, and it's not even hard, but you're doing the effort and you're out there doing your part. I salute you, and I love you. And we are the pioneers, and we've got a lot to be proud of, because it's a very noble fight that we're engaged in. But to everybody else, you need to get off your ass. You can't sit and wait and watch and worry and eat popcorn and expect anybody else to pull your weight for you. It will never work that way. Not ever. Not ever, ever, ever. We're all we've got. And you're not better than us, by the way. You need to be helping us. So we need to know. Okay, I already responded to that, Doug. That's pretty much it. The only other thing that is just weird to me is, I lived at Occupy Wall Street for months and months and months in a tent on the pavement. And the first time I saw the debt collective come by was they came by for a couple hours in an afternoon at some point during that thing for one day. And they came and did their thing, and the media came and followed them. And that was great. But the one thing that really struck me odd was there's a guy named Jerry Ashton that he's a collection industry guy. And Jerry had been sort of pestering me in the months before Occupy Wall Street. And lo and behold, the day that Debt Collective showed up, all of a sudden Jerry shows up to the park. And he brought a friend with him, an accountant from California. I don't remember his name. And Jerry comes up to me, and him and this accountant, oh, yeah, what do you think? Debt strike. And talking to Jerry, and Jerry's like, my friend. And Jerry literally took some cash and shoved it in my pocket. And I was like, I wouldn't even shake his hand, because the history between me and Jerry Ashton was that I just didn't believe what he was saying. He was a collection industry guy. The collection industry, student loans are their golden unicorn. They love defaulted student loans because there are no bankruptcy protections. There are no statutes of limitations. The collection industry drools at the prospect of a mass student loan default. So here comes Jerry and his little accountant buddy, and their mouths are practically drooling at the prospect of a mass default. And he's like, oh, what do you think? Great thing. That's right. Yeah, Jerry. And he shoved money in my hand, and I turned away, and I took the money out of that. I don't know how much it was, but I took the money out of my pocket, and I literally gave it away because it was dirty. And I gave it away to the very first person I saw. I was like, just take it. I was broke at the time too, by the way. So that was kind of hard to do, but no, guys, the collection industry is not, they want us to default. They want bankruptcy to remain gone from the loans. That's what the collection industry wants. That's what people like Jerry Ashton want. So we'll have nothing to do with people like that. I don't know. I think he either was or maybe even is involved in these debt buyback schemes that Debt Collective was doing. I let them speak for themselves. I have nothing good to say about that whole deal. So that is pretty much what I know, Doug. But that Jerry Ashton guy, sneaky. Collection industry people are sneaky, guys. We've had them all over this group in the past. And by the way, if anybody ever comes up to you on our group and is like, hey, I can help you with your student loans. Yeah, I can help. Report them to us, because these are shisty, seedy, snaky people, and we will not have them in our group. They're not fighting for you. They're fighting to get paid, probably by you rehabilitating your defaulted loans, which gives the collection goons a massive commission, like a 16% commission. Can you imagine defaulting on a $100,000 loan, rehabilitating that into a brand new, shiny $200,000 loan, and signing for that new loan, and then a 16% commission is sent in a check in money, spending money form to the goons that get you to do that? That's $32,000 payday for those collection goons, those lending industry goons. It's disgusting. So if you notice any person that you don't know or maybe that you do know, saying, hey, I can help you with you. Are you in default? I can help. People like that. Tell them about us, because we need to kick them out of our group. This group is as clean can possibly be, guys. Yeah, Paula Schultz say, hi, I have noticed them. After talking to them, they try and sell you on a new loan. Yeah, right. There's another whole group of people out there, people like, like Adam Minsky, these student loan lawyers. They go, hey, I can get your loan discharged in bankruptcy. I can get your loan discharged in bankruptcy. And they are all over the student debt crisis page. I can get your loan discharged in bankruptcy. So you go and sit down with them, and then they do a bait and a switch. And once they'll go, oh, I looked at your numbers. Well, bankruptcy may not be right for you. But what I can do is I can get you into a new loan with $0 payments. And the loans be canceled after 20, 25 years. Just sign right here. Boom. That's how that goes. These people are fucking snakes. They're fucking terrible. Pardon my French. Hey, Joanna Kern says, I have contacted 3 local media stations today. I want to ask, have you, Alan, or anyone else connected with this organization ever tried before the Biden administration? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Joanna. That doesn't make any sense. But I applaud you calling the media, particularly in Florida. We need to hit Ron DeSantis hard. The people of Florida owe $119.5 billion. It's probably over $120 billion now in mostly federal student loan debt. That is enough money to buy, at least based on the assessed value, enough to buy Disney World 60 times over. So Florida is sinking, not because of climate change, but because of student loan debt. And Ron DeSantis, of all governors in the country, along with Greg Abbott of Texas and Brian Kemp in Georgia and a few others, they need to be on our side. They need to be demanding that President Biden cancel these loans. And by the way, go to bit.ly/10 worst states, bit.ly/10 worst states. And you can see the 10 worst states, and they are all southern states. Paula Schultz says, get heated. Leslie's with us tonight. Hey, Leslie. Been working this accidental advocate as much as possible, but everyone needs to step the F***K up. Leslie, you took the words right out of my mouth. We're all accidental activists here, guys. You can't sit there and expect any of us to pull your weight for you. What are you thinking? Get off your ass and help us, like Leslie and Paula and Joanna and Vanjie and Doug and everybody here tonight on this group. It's fun to fight this battle, guys, by the way. Once you read all those Medium articles that I pointed you to, you'll be a strong, and you will shut a lot of people up. And it feels good to do that. It feels good to educate the ignorant and get them to understand the truth about this nationally threatening, red state wrecking, veteran wrecking, by the way, student loan scam. It feels good to fight this battle. It's cathartic. I sleep like a baby at night. I truly do. Paula says, sounds like good red burning thing. Of all the presidential candidates, Bernie and or Elizabeth Warren were probably our number one guys. But guys, they're politicians. Just remember this, guys. And remember this also. Paula Schultz says, we are the biggest nonpartisan group. And that is very true. Distressed student loan borrowers comprise the largest politically untethered, we're not beholden to either party, the largest untethered voting bloc in U.S. history. 42 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country. That's when you include private loans. In federal student loans, there's probably 36 or 37 million distressed borrowers. That is a lot of voters. And we vote, by the way. Like, you can't name any other issue, gun control or immigration or abortion or healthcare. You can't name any other issue around which there are even probably more than 10 million undecided people, right? You show me an issue and I'll show you an issue that's around which the battle lines have been very clearly drawn. The battle lines have not been clearly drawn, although they are trying very hard right now. Battle lines have not yet been drawn around the student loan issue. Neither the Republicans or the Democrats have managed to get their arms around this thing yet. And that what the people in Congress do or don't do doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is there are 42 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country right now, and neither party is impressing them at all right now. So we can and we will determine the next president. We can and we will determine the outcome of these midterm elections. And just remember that. You know, we could save the Democrats' asses if we wanted to, and if they gave us a reason to in the midterms. We could even put Biden in contention for a second term in office, which right now is just laughable, let alone the midterms are laughable at this point too. So we are strong, guys. We have nothing to be ashamed of, and we are fighting the good fight. And don't ever forget that. Don't listen to the haters. Don't let them wag their fingers at you. Those people don't know what they're talking about. We are fighting on the right side of the Constitution. We are fighting for 45 million other people in the country who are screwed. We are fighting for tens or hundreds of millions of people that don't deserve to be conquered and enslaved by the federal government. And that's just about the most conservative thing that you can imagine that I just said. Think about that. We are strong, but we've got to flex the muscle, guys. We've got to. Everybody out there needs to throw off the shame, throw off the embarrassment, throw off the discouragement. You don't need that. Get that shit out of there. You don't need that. We need you with us. We need you here with us fighting. When you help, we will win. It's as simple as that. So what are you doing? You don't want to be the guy 5 years from now going, wow, I should have really gotten off my ass 5 years ago when that little window of opportunity was open to finally get these loans gone and done and handled. And I didn't. And now here I am, fucked. Pardon my French. You don't want to be that guy. Daily actions, studentloanjustice.org, daily actions. Yeah, this group definitely did form 17 years ago, Joanna. That's true. The mouse ran away. That's right. I've got the mouse now. My cat was chasing my mouse. Hey, Victoria's with us tonight. Hey, Victoria. All right, guys. I think I've gone on a little bit too long tonight. I think we have a few Dave Ramsey haters here in the crowd. Thank you. Dave Ramsey is a total charlatan and a massive douchebag. And he lives in Tennessee, by the way. Tennessee is ruined by federal student loan debt. Ruined. One of the worst in the country. And people like Martha, the senator there, Marsha Blackburn, she ought to be ashamed. She ought to be ashamed of herself. Marsha Blackburn is one of the bad people out there. Senator from Tennessee. And both her and Dave Ramsey should get in the limousine that brought them to Tennessee, and they should get the fuck out of that state because they don't deserve to be there. The people of Tennessee are better than that. People of Tennessee don't deserve to be conquered and enslaved and become debt slaves. They don't deserve it. Hey, Derek's with us tonight. Yeah, speaking of North Carolina, Derek's with us. I think if you rewind this live stream, Derek, you'll see some choice comments I made about North Carolina. Virginia Fox is absolutely terrible. She did a terrible tweet today about how Biden is fishing for votes or trying to buy votes by loan cancellation. Virginia Fox is the worst person in the world on student loans, by the way. The worst person in Congress, I should say. But we got this. We will win, guys. Joanna, okay, I'm going to take one more question from Joanna. It looks pretty substantial. Joanna says, I still don't understand what are the specific reasons behind Biden's refusal to cancel all federally owned student loans by executive order. Very important question. Biden has been dragging his feet on canceling student loans by executive order, and there's a very good reason for it. So there's two ways to cancel loans. You can cancel loans by executive order, which is all the stuff that I've been saying before. President says cancel the loans. Line is drawn through a number on a ledger. No money drawn from the Treasury. No money added to the national debt. The loan just evaporates into the mist. That's one way of doing it. There's another way of doing it, and that is to get Congress to pass legislation which says cancel these loans. And here's how we're going to pay for it. We're going to, I don't know, raise taxes on the rich, or we're going to do a 5% surcharge on gas tax, or we're going to somehow cobble together $1 trillion. And that's how we're going to cancel loans. That second way, ladies and gentlemen, that second way is what the swamp wants. And Joe Biden is the swamp. The people, the agencies in Washington, D.C., they like to be paid. The Department of Education would love to see Congress pass a tax or whatever, somehow raise $1 trillion so that they can pay the Department of Education $1 trillion in cash money to cancel the loans. In fact, that's probably the Department of Education's wet dream, and the swamp creatures in and around the Department of Education, the contractors, their friends, their family, that whole little kitsch, that whole little Washington, D.C. little cesspool in the swamp. They would love nothing more than to be flooded with $1 trillion in cash, new taxpayer money. They would love that. So, and Biden loves them, and they love Biden, and what they love, Biden loves. And so that's why we see Biden saying, oh, I won't be canceling by executive order. Nobody in Washington, D.C. gets paid when you cancel student loans by executive order. That is the seedy little truth bomb for you that I don't think you're going to hear anywhere else in this country. That's what's really going on here, guys. Canceling student loans by executive order? No. All that wealth just disappears. Never existed in the first place, but it just disappears. No. We can't have that. That's not going to actually help the people and not hurt anyone. No, we will not do that. We want a new tax. We want that $1 trillion funding into the Department of Education's coffers. So, and what are they going to do? Do you think they're actually going to cancel loans? Fuck no. The Department of Education is good at not canceling loans. There have been a million loan cancellation gimmicks come and go over the years. 99% of everyone who tried for them never got their loans canceled. So the Department of Education would love to be paid $1 trillion in new tax money so that they can pretend to cancel loans. Yeah, they'll cancel a few here and there. They'll even throw around a few stories in the media about this poor, terrible person with polio or something who got his loans canceled. But at the end of the day, 99% of the people won't get the loan cancellation. If history is to be any guide to the future, and I think it is. So that's the real reason that Joe Biden doesn't want to cancel student loans by executive order. I'm telling you guys, you need to read our Medium articles. Read all that stuff, and you'll know what I know. It's very important that you know this stuff. Hey, Kelly Kessler, the one, the only Kelly. Let's keep the momentum going. I totally agree. We're on a good path, guys. We're on a very good path. Hey, R. Eugenio Perez is with us tonight as well. Okay, guys, I got to cut it off at that. I'm sorry. I went quite a lot longer than I was planning on to this funky Friday night here in Wisconsin. But wherever you may be, I hope all is well. I hope that you're encouraged and enthused. I hope you enjoy. I hope you appreciate the good news that I brought you tonight. More than that, I hope that you are stoked to help us going forward. Because as I said, we need you in this fight. And if you do nothing, nothing is going to happen. It's a fun fight. It's a good fight. The founding fathers are on our side. 45 million people, even if they don't know about us. And you need to tell them about us, are on our side. Tell them about us. Everyone you know with student loans. If you know 5 people with student loans, 4 of them are screwed on their student loans. And they would be happy to know about us, happy to join. But there are tens or hundreds of millions of people that we're fighting for who are going to follow in our footsteps. We're fighting for them too. So you kind of have a duty. as my 8th grade typing class teacher said, or no, 10th grade typing class teacher said, now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. And I would extend that to include women. We need you. We need you in this fight. We're all we've got. Don't forget that. Have a great weekend. Good luck. Godspeed. And God bless everyone.